Well, good morning. You're listening to National Real Estate Auction Radio. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the Internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on RowellAuctions.com, as they are the host of this program. Additionally, this show will be posted on YouTube.com. We're going to be talking about real estate auctions, past auctions, upcoming auctions, different real estate markets across the country. We get a lot of topics today to help us out. We've got a couple of people calling in from, Colorado, Connecticut, Georgia. Pretty exciting. Hey, I've got some real good news. The bill and the government surplus properties that I've been talking about on this show for maybe 3 or 4 months, the fact that there's government surplus properties that are being unused and not being sold and are costing the American taxpayer millions of dollars. In fact, let me give this one more time. One property already drawing attention is the old post office annex in Washington, D.C. The facility loses $6 million a year, yet it hasn't been used in 10 years. That's $60 million, folks, that we, the American taxpayer, are paying for. Congressman Dennison is the one who had this bill, H.R. 1734, and he says in this article, Dennison says Donald Trump and the Waldorf Astoria has expressed interest in buying the annex to use as a commercial venue that creates jobs and actually makes money for the taxpayers. Well, to get back to my premise, again, these properties are government surplus properties. They're warehouse, they're office buildings, they're pieces of land that are not being used. They are not houses. And Congressman Dennison has done a good job in rallying support for, hey, guess what? Making the government more efficient. Not allowing that type of thing to go on with the post office for $6 million a year to maintain. So just crazy. Anyway, the bill got passed and in the House. Now it's up to the Senate. Let's go to our first call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, Doug. How are you doing?
Well, good. Is this Okie?
It is.
Well, Okie, thank you so much for calling. You're from Denver, Colorado. I know you're an earlier time than me, so thank you for getting up earlier. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what business you're in.
I'm Okie Arno. I have been in the real estate business over 30 years. I'm here in the Denver metro area. I'm with Keller Williams Realty DTC, which is the largest office in Colorado.
Very nice, very nice. Well, you and I know each other from many, many years ago. I'm afraid to say it's been almost 20 years. Almost. And you were with Moore and Company at the time. And we had just got a big Resolution Trust Corporation auction that was for properties in New Mexico, Arizona, but the big ones, the big amount of properties were in Denver, Colorado. And I went out there to try to find a broker who we could team up with, because that's what we do. Take it from there. What happened? What did we do? All that kind of good stuff.
Well, we did a lot of things, Doug, and it was a lot of fun working with you. I think, if I remember right, you came out in March and you interviewed me and Moore and Company to see if we could handle the RTC Trust, or the Resolution Trust. By the way, it was the first auction nationally, the large one.
Yes.
And it also happened to be for Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona.
Yep.
And so at the time we looked at it as 250 properties, and a lot of that was land, and we thought, well, that's a no-brainer, and we can do that. And so you put me through rigorous interview process and then decided to go with myself and Moore and Company. And so about 6 weeks before the actual auction, the Resolution Trust put another 250 affordable housing properties on us, if you remember.
Yes.
And it was our job to go out and do our due diligence. And I have to say this, Doug, your systems, your company's systems, were some of the finest. And because of that, we were able to pull it off, so to speak. And we had at that auction over 2,500 people registered. And that registration process was $5,000 certified funds or a cashier's check had to be presented to even bid on properties.
Right.
So we packed out the Marriott, and it was an exciting time.
On Hampton Avenue or something like that, right?
Exactly, exactly. One thing I remember, it was such a neat experience because there were people there. Of course, there were investors there that were bidding, and we had to set the prices, or at least the bid amount to start with, that we thought it would sell for RTC.
Right.
And because of your systems and the great auction that you guys put together, we were able to bid them up over the amount that we even thought they would go for. But the neat thing was, remember that there were several families that were there bidding on the affordable housing.
Yes.
And it gave them an opportunity to have home ownership. That was, to me, the most exciting part.
Fulfilling the American dream of home ownership.
Absolutely.
If I remember correctly, I had asked you to give me an indication of what each of these properties were going to sell for, and there were hundreds of them, and I can't remember the final tally.
I think it was almost 500.
I think it was 500, maybe even more. It was a crazy. It was a 2-day auction. That's how many people that we had to prepare for. We couldn't do it all in one day. We had to do it in 2 days, and I believe they were all absolute. Is that correct? And that's the reason why we had.
Yes, it was an absolute auction. We had some commercial. We had some apartment buildings. It was divided between the south part of Colorado and then the Denver and north part. And the south part was mainly Colorado Springs and outlying areas there. But if you remember, we had to go and travel to all the different properties and look at them and give an estimation on what we thought they would sell for.
Well, you had put together quite a team, and to be honest, I think your whole office had to get involved in the sale because there was just so much interest. And again, I'm going to emphasize that the reason why we had so many buyers and so much interest was the fact that it's being sold absolute, which means that regardless of price, it's going to be sold that day. So, when buyers would make that call, and you've heard it 1,000 times. Well, what if I bid $1 and it's the high bid? Will I get it? And of course the answer is yes. We don't think you're going to get it for $1 because somebody else is going to say $2 and then $50 and then $1,000 and then $50,000. But that's what made the auction work, along with your talents and Moore and Company. You just had thousands of calls. When we talk about registrations, again, I think you said there were 2,500 registrations, which means that we had 2,500 checks of $5,000 or more, and you had to have $5,000 to bid on a property. So if you're going to bid on 2 properties, you'd bring two checks.
Exactly.
If you were going to hope to buy 2, because you needed a check to put along with the contract that night, and it was just a crazy time, and I'm hoping that this country gets back to absolute auctions, because it really, we sold hundreds of properties, and you know better than me, but I'm going to say that some people got a lot of bargains, but a lot of people paid market, and if you averaged them all right, all hundreds of them, the RTC did pretty good.
Oh, they did. They made out very well. In fact, better than they expected.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the absolute. People go in with when we have the minimum bid auctions, they already know that you're not going to go below that. I think that really takes away maybe 30% of potential bidders that you would normally have. And so when you have an absolute, they go in there thinking, well, I have my figure in my head.
Yep.
And when they get there, they get caught up in the frenzy. And when you have a good auctioneer like yourself, it's magical, and it helps the seller get more for their money than if they did a minimum bid price.
Well, I wasn't the auctioneer; I was the auction project manager. But it was just a
I know,
thrill.
You guys were great.
Oh, thank you. It was just a thrill to be with you guys, and I know. I mean, I looked at you, and you looked at me, and both of our eyes were, propped up with toothpicks because we worked so hard for the 2 weeks before, and everyone thinks that an auction, it must be so easy. All you got to do is go that day and chant, and it has to do with a lot more than that. And it takes talent like yours, and we always try to work with a local broker, and you guys were great. But enough about the past. Tell me what you're doing now, and tell me a little bit about your company.
Well, Keller Williams is a education-based company, and we are the second largest in the United States. We have a great culture, and that's why when Bill Moore sold to Coldwell Banker, I made the move 11 years ago, over to Keller Williams. And currently what I'm doing is I have started a team of the Alliance Group, and it's made up of 8 people. We cover expertise from commercial to, of course, residential, luxury homes, new construction. An interesting thing has happened in the Colorado area. Unlike back in the late 80s and early 90s when the realtor kind of was the gatekeeper, now we have asset management companies that are handling the REOs.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing REOs kind of diminish here in the Front Range, but we have more and more short sales.
Okay.
So about 25 to 30% of our market is short sales. So I have been doing more short sales. I team up with a phenomenal group called the My Home Team that just does short sales. They do some equity-type positions, but their main focus is educating the public and the realtor community on the proper short sale process. And so I've been doing that and working in the luxury division and just having a good time. The market has been down over the last, since 2008, but we sure have been getting our share.
Okay, I'm going to go for a quick break. When I come back, I want to talk about a short sale and what that entails, and also where you see the market going in your area. So if you can hold on for a bit, we're going to go for a quick break.
You're welcome.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. I'm your host, Doug Dennison. We have on the line Oki Arno, who is with Keller Williams Realty in Denver, Colorado. I've done hundreds of properties with her with auctions, and she's the best out there in that Denver area. Oki, are you still with us?
I am, and thank you very much for those kind words.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit. You were saying that 20-30% of what you do is short sales. Tell us what that is in relationship to a potential buyer? What's the timing? What do they have to do, and all that kind of good stuff?
Well, from the buying side, let's just step back a moment.
Okay.
A short sale is where your value of your house, the mortgage exceeds the value of your house or what you can sell it for.
Right.
And so we go to the bank as a listing agent. We go to the bank and ask permission for them to take less than what the market says.
Now, 5 years ago, that would be pretty much impossible.
Exactly. In fact, they were doing them 4 or 5 years ago, but very limited, and the banks did not know what they were doing at that time.
Right.
Now the banks are more educated, they have systems in place, and so it's kind of replaced the REO with the short sale.
Mm-hmm.
And so a seller, for example, instead of having a foreclosure on their record, which would last for 7 years, they have an opportunity to short sale it with the bank, and it's kind of like a bankruptcy. Then you would have you could restore your credit within 3 to 4 years.
Okay, well, that sounds good. So is the banks doing this because the government is helping them with funds to do this because they don't want more foreclosures?
Well, it has started out that way. We're not sure if that is what's really happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's different programs out there that the government has put in place. However, the banks are seeing it as an opportunity to go ahead and take a reduction in the mortgage and be settled, versus when you go through the foreclosure process, there's a lot of expense on the bank side, and so they're better off. In fact, there's stats out there that show that the banks make more money by short selling than they would with a foreclosure.
Right. Well, they don't want the liability of the foreclosure too, besides the expense. And once it goes into the bank's hands or the government's hands, it usually depreciates in value. Number one, the upkeep of the property isn't as good as it should be, or probably is when somebody that is in there living in it.
Absolutely, and you have the risk, like you said, the liability, but you have deterioration of the home.
Yeah. It's funny. Right before you came on, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this, but the government has surplus properties that they've been trying to figure out a way to sell to help balance the budget and to get the maintenance cost off of the American taxpayer. And right before you came on, I was talking about one of these properties is a post office in Washington, D.C. that costs the American taxpayer $6 million a year in upkeep, and yet it hasn't been used for 10 years. And people, American taxpayers don't understand that they're paying for that. They also don't understand that it costs money to keep a property, because of all the maintenance, security issues, insurance, all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure you have that in your pitch when you're talking about a house, when you're talking to the bank.
Well, a lot of people, exactly. A lot of people are. It's a fear factor. Some people have lost their jobs. They've had health issues. I believe that most people don't want to short sale their home. They have had issues that have caused that situation to happen.
Yeah.
And instead of losing total credit by doing a foreclosure and being displaced, it is better for them to work with the bank and get it short saled. Right now, we have about there's a terminology in the real estate. It's called NED. It's called Notice of Election and Demand, and that's where the bank intends to foreclose and gives notice.
Okay.
There are 11,000 in the Front Range, just in Denver alone, of distressed properties, what we call distressed properties or upside down. And that's not foreclosures.
Now this
there's
is...
only there's less than 1,000 of those homes on the market. That tells us that they're trying to do loan modifications with the bank. They're trying to deplete their savings to hold on. And the worst thing a person can do is deplete their savings or go into their IRAs or their 401ks to help sustain, because then they have nothing left.
Right. Well, that's good, and again, my point was that properties deteriorate if they're not being used, and the good news for this government thing is that the House passed the bill for these 14,000 properties earlier this week. It's called H.R. 1734, so it's passed in the House, and hopefully, the Senate will concur that this is something that needs to be done. The president has already indicated that since it was his idea in the first place in his 2011 State of the Union address, that we need to sell these unused properties to help balance the budget and get them off the taxpayer rolls. It's very important. Hey, tell us how people can get a hold of you, because, again, you are somebody that has great professionalism, and in the Denver area, that's important. I want people to know how to get in contact with you.
Thank you, Doug, for saying that. The best way to reach me is Keller Williams Realty, DTC. That's in Inglewood. You can either reach me at through my email, okiearnot, OKIEARNOT, at kw.com, or you can call me at 303-210-2717.
Give us your telephone number one more time, Okie.
That's 303-210-2717.
Okie, thank you so much for being on the program. I hope to get out to Denver and get together with you, and hopefully we can work together down the road.
We'll look forward to that, Doug. Take care.
Take care, Okie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Okie Arnaud of Keller Williams Realty in Denver, Colorado. Again, I had the privilege of selling, I'm going to say it was close to 800 properties, but my memory might be fading, in the Denver area. She was amazing, and I thank her for being on the show today. We've got more guests. We're going to take a little pause, and we will be right back. And again, thank you for listening on our show on this Friday morning.
Come on out to the St. Augustine and St. Johns County Flea Market, where the fun begins. There's old, new, and unique items every weekend. Bargain basement prices and something for everyone. Just in time for Christmas shopping. There's a great farmer's market and Charlie's Famous Barbecue. You haven't had barbecue until you try Charlie's, and you won't find better baked beans. Churches and charities get a free booth 2 days each month. Business owner display, 50% off rental prices. RV parking and outside storage, the best prices in the Tri-County area. Second month free on outside storage. Every Saturday and Sunday, the St. Johns County Flea Market is open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. State Road 207 and I-95.
Are you behind on your mortgage or facing a foreclosure? Hiding from your circumstances or just walking away from your home may lead to future liability on your loan. We can help you understand your legal rights and explain all of the options that are available when facing a foreclosure. I'm local attorney Tom Pycraft of Pycraft Legal Services. Our office is located on US 1 in St. Augustine. You do not have to deal with this alone. Visit us at pycraftlaw.com or call today for a free legal review of your situation. 940-0060. That's 940-0060.
Meet St. Augustine native Robert Hall.
Name of the company is Hall's Lawn Service, Handyman Pressure Washer. We do a variety of work, any type of repair for a home, lawn, sod, and we try to take care of everybody as they are family. If you need a light bulb screwed in, we do that. If you got a sink stopped up, we'll help you with that. If you need sod, we'll put sod down. And we maintenance year round. All materials is warranted by the companies that we purchase it from. The sod comes from our field. So we come from the field growing our own sod to your yard, and give you the right service.
Sure.
We do a lot of commercial too. We're licensed, insured, and bonded. We try to treat the people right and make sure they have a family feel to everything. We're not after just a dollar. But you can contact me personally by my cell number at 315-3277 or my home phone number at 692-1918.
I'm Wallace Brooks, principal of St. John's Academy. I invite you to join us either February 15th or March 14th at 9 a.m. for an open house to learn more about St. John's Academy. St. John's Academy is one of 300 classical Christian college preparatory schools in America, and it is located right here in St. Augustine on Wildwood Drive. We want to teach your children how to think, not just what to think. In this world where so few people are able to stand up for their beliefs, we train your children to be virtuous scholars who can articulate the truth. I invite you to join us either February 15th or March 14th at 9 a.m. for an open house to learn more about St. John's Academy. Call us at 824-9224 or visit our website at stjohnsacademy.com.
Okay, we are back listening to the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. It's broadcast every Friday live from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. The radio station and radio show mission statement is to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country. We just listened to Oki Arnaud from Keller Williams Realty, Denver, Colorado. Kind of gave us background about auctions, the value of absolute auctions and why they're so successful. They're successful for the bidders and they're successful for the sellers. And very, very important, where we sold hundreds of properties out in Denver, Colorado. And again, Oki did a great job. She's a broker. We try to work with brokers all the time because they know the area, they know the value of the properties, they provide credibility to the sale, and we want to go in there using their expertise to help give value and help to the buyers, number one, but also to the sellers. The more information that a buyer has, the better they will bid. If they don't know the property and don't know the area, they won't bid as much. So that's the deal. Okay, we got another call. Good morning.
Oh, not Sotheby's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean,
Good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, Doug, hi. It's Ted Thaxter and Robert Bland.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Are we early for you, or
No, you're perfect. You're on the air, and want to thank you for calling in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and also where you're from and the company you represent.
Okay. This is Ted Thaxter. We are calling from Greenwich, Connecticut. We're with Sotheby's International Realty.
and I'm Robert Bland, and I'm manager of Sotheby's International Realty in Greenwich.
Well, very good. Tell us a little bit about Sotheby's.
Well, Sotheby's is a national network of 25. We're in 25 markets. Generally, we work on the upper end of the real estate market, and we've been very successful doing that. We're affiliated with Sotheby's Auction House, and we also are part of the Sotheby's International Real Estate Affiliate Network, which is consists of 550 companies approximately all over the globe.
Well, very good. Well, Ted, you and I go back a few years. Do you remember when we first met?
I do, Doug. It was in Denver during the Resolution Trust days.
Well, it was funny because I have Oki Arnaud on the line earlier doing the interview. She was with Moore and Company, and she was the point person for the auction that we did together. You were in affordable housing, weren't you?
I did that, and then the commercial as well. We did the sealed bids for a lot of commercial property, but I was the representative for the affordable housing in in the asset marketing department.
That was a crazy sale, and the reason I think it was so successful, it was because all of the properties were absolute. And did you attend the auction for those 2 days?
I believe I did.
And was it just crazy? I remember, I think we started at 6 o'clock what was the time that we were going to start. So we had a registration. You can start coming in like at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and I think I looked out of the hotel, which was a Denver Marriott, and I looked out of the hotel window, and it was like 2 o'clock, and the line was like 100 strong already outside the hotel. That was how crazy it was that night.
Right. Well, as you'll remember, the Affordable Housing Department was sort of the silver lining of the Resolution Trust and the savings and loan crisis that went to more median-priced and income-eligible purchasers.
Right. It was trying to, try to make a little bit of sense out of the whole mess that was the not the RTC, but the SNLs, the savings and loans that had gone under, and the country had to, take over those organizations and institutions and sell those assets. And one of the things was that, hopefully people that were renting and were not able to fulfill the American dream of home ownership would get a chance based on their income and get a chance to buy homes. And you were a big part of that.
Well, I also sat on the credit review committee for that, where we made loans to some of those people, and it was a great opportunity for them to get a good head start in life and get going. It's interesting, I think, in the agreement with the banks most recently, that hopefully that too will give us a jump start in getting the economy, getting the housing market more solidified and get going. Back when we did it with the Resolution Trust Corporation, we had a single source of ownership, and we were able to move those properties back into the market and let the market take care of it. And lately it seems it's been more litigation than marketing, but hopefully we'll get back to marketing.
Very good. Well, Robert Bland, you're the manager there. Tell us a little bit about your office. How many people do you have in the office, and how far does your area entail in regards to selling luxury homes?
Well, we have 80 active agents, and we're fortunate in that we have an office of almost everyone here is full-time. We don't really hire people who are not full-time agents. I think those days are gone.
Right.
To most people, it's gotten much more competitive, much more sophisticated, and with the web, you can't just be a country club agent, meaning someone who gets their listings from playing bridge with their friends, and every once in a while someone sells a house and says, "Oh, of course, you can handle it for me." Well, it's a lot more sophisticated and a lot more competitive. We handle, our primary market is Greenwich, Connecticut, which is about 50 square miles. We're part of the New York metropolitan area, and we get a lot of our buyers and sellers are connected to New York in one way or another, and we're considered one of the most, we're one of the most affluent cities in the country, and we're in Fairfield County, which is, I think, always number 1, 2, or 3 most affluent counties in the country also. So we handle primarily Greenwich, and Greenwich is unique in that it has waterfront property, mid-country, what we call mid-country, which is 2 to 4 acre zoning, and then you go a little further north, and we have polo, horse country, and big estates and big farms. So you can be 35 miles from New York City and a 40-minute train commute, easy train commute, and you're in the country.
We also find that we're, fortunately, I guess, alluded to in many cases as a hedge fund capital, as we have so many hedge funds that are officed here in Greenwich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happened. This is Robert, but that started about 15 years ago. A lot of people from Wall Street said, "Hey, I can, with the web and communications, I can be where I want. I can live where I want and have my office nearby." And so, in the city of Stamford and the town of Greenwich, it is, like Ted says, the hedge fund capital of the world, often called that, and also private equity firms. Plus, we're just so connected to Wall Street because so many people either work on Wall Street or came from Wall Street.
Well, I know Greenwich pretty well. I graduated from Danbury, Connecticut 1,000 years ago, and used to play the Greenwich High School on the golf team. And by the way, they usually killed us, but you guys had great golf courses down there. How is the market in your area? I know there's luxury homes is a little bit different than the rest of the world, but give us an indication. Is it doing pretty well for you right now?
Yeah, I can give you just a broad strokes. We are a little different, and what's interesting for us is our market is part of the greater New York market, and that's even though there have been layoffs in Wall Street. By and large, Wall Street and the financial communities tend to recreate themselves, and New York City is so vibrant, and we feed on that a lot, that our market has been steady. We were up 8% in sales last year over the year before, 2010.
Wow.
And 2010 was up maybe 20% over 2009. Now, that is the number of transactions, so we were very happy to see that. Prices came down a little bit, and I think you can, we all know about macroeconomics and the law of supply and demand. As prices came down to what we would say a more realistic level, sales increased. So even though there were more sales, prices were down, but that is just a healthy market rebalancing itself. So we did very well. We actually had a 84% increase in houses sold in the $5 to $7 million range. Again, that goes back to the fact that points back to that we're a unique community, or one of the 10 or so communities in the country that could have that many sales, and actually is a big part of our market. That was 35 sales, and a lot of towns can't talk about 35 sales in the $5 to $7 million range. We also, in this office, sold the highest priced property in Connecticut last year at $42.5 million asking price for a waterfront property. So the luxury market is strong in Greenwich.
In fact, on that $42.5 million property, there ended up being two different bidders for it, and the loser went down the street, actually more into mid-country, and ended up with a property we believe in the $32 million range. I was just going to point out too that the numbers that Robert spoke about, our average sale price in Greenwich last year was 2.4, and the median price was 1.6. Mm-hmm. If you go back to 05, the average sale price was 2.5, and the median was 1.8. So we're sort of about where we were in 05, maybe.
Well, that's a lot of the country is kind of like that, where
right.
the prices were way up and then plummeted, of course, but then they've come back. In some cases, maybe not in your area, but prices went down 50% during that time period when things were just crazy. People were buying properties as investments and retirement funds because properties were going up 10, 15, 20% per year, and people would look at their IRA, which was giving them 1.2%, and saying, how am I going to retire? Let's kind of gamble a little bit, and let's buy a bigger house, and let's roll the dice. And unfortunately, a lot of those people lost.
Right. Yeah. Well, we had our Greenwich came down too, but not quite as bad as that. Maybe 25%,
okay.
27% overall. Which is, you'll see in the more affluent and economically stable metro areas, things went down a little bit less, and they're coming back a little more quickly.
Well, like you said, New York City seems to be thriving, and you see all the time that the prices are actually going up for housing in that area, and people are doing well, and just as you said, you're 35, 40 minutes away, and so lots of people don't want to live in the city, but want to live out in the outskirts, and you're certainly a beautiful town to take that over. Yeah,
and also we benefit from our lovely neighbor who we like, New York State, but unfortunately they have a different tax structure, and we benefit from the fact that we have lower property taxes, and many people will come and look at communities right on the border. So we're on the border with New York State, and they will choose Greenwich because our tax base is lower, property taxes, and our schools are terrific. So we benefit from that also. There's some beautiful property in New York State, and it's another nice choice, but a lot of people decide to be here.
Well, you guys are great for the Greenwich, Connecticut real estate community. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, we love for people to get a hold of us. Our number is 203 869 4343. Yeah.
Okay, say it one more time for us.
203-869-4343.
I give my direct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ted can be reached at...
My direct line, Doug, is 203-618-3119, or you may have it there. The email address is ted.thaxter@sotheby'shomes.com.
Very good. Well, Sotheby's is a very famed auction house. It's a famed real estate company, and as you said, international in scope. And do you get a lot of international interest when you have these big homes up for sale?
Well, that's a very good question, because I was going to just add that when you were talking about New York City real estate, they have had a major influx of international buyers, first 5 or 6 years ago, because of the strong euro versus the dollar made it, people could buy real estate in New York at what they perceived as a discount because of the currency exchange.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're seeing a different wave of international buyer, and it's people are when you look at the world, some people would say it's a little less stable than it used to be financially. And New York and America are still considered the safest havens financially in the world. And so we see people coming in from abroad to international clients buying property for capital preservation as opposed to capital appreciation. The new normal is, let's see if we can hold on to what we have and hedge against inflation a little bit, but they're really more concerned about preserving what they have as opposed to maybe making a killing in, U.S. property. So it's a little different bit of a type of customer. Now, Greenwich, we see international buyers. We have people from China, Russia, a little bit of South America, and the fact that we're now a hedge fund capital, we have people from all over the world who work here.
Mm-hmm.
They come in as, a junior partner or as a quantitative analysis person. And so you see people from India or China or Africa walking down the street when Greenwich used to be a very traditional New England town, and it's a whole new world here.
Well, the internet has certainly changed our world. Do you get some emails saying, "Hey, I'd like to know more about this property," and look at the end of it, and it's China and England and India?
Of course, and we do, and of course we have to be very careful with some of those emails because everyone seems to be using the emails for doing all kinds of shenanigans. But yes, we get. But what I've always found interesting since the dawn of the web is that we will get serious buyers contacting us directly on the web for a $25 or $30 million property, and they're not using an agent. They will contact, and we will deal directly with them, which I always thought anybody in that price range
right.
would be working through an assistant or some kind of relationship they have. But the direct buyer is not necessarily price sensitive. It could come from somebody, a household name might contact us directly, which is still shocks me, but it happens regularly, and it's just an indication of the fact that we really do live in a smaller world.
That's right. In fact, yesterday, Doug was out with people from Germany, and tomorrow are Armenians. So just another example of the foreign influence that we have here as well.
Well, excellent. Ted, give us your telephone number one more time.
203-618-3119. That's my direct line here at work. Would you like to have my cell phone number, Doug?
Sure.
203-273-0184.
Well, Ted Thaxter and Robert Bland from Sotheby's International Realty, Greenwich, Connecticut, thank you so much for being on the show Friday before the big weekend. Thank you for the effort and time. And, Ted, it's always good to hook up with you. Hopefully we can do business down the road.
I hope so, Doug. Great talking with you again, too.
Thank you, Doug.
You bet. Bye-bye now.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
Okay, we're back. This is the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. We're broadcasting from St. Augustine, Florida, throughout the world through the wonderful efforts of the Internet. Again, thank you for listening. Our sponsor is Rowell Auctions. It's a national real estate auction firm that started in 1936. They do online auctions, on-site auctions, and ballroom auctions. They have offices in Florida, New Jersey, California, Georgia, and have alliances with auctioneers across the country. They do government auctions, bank auctions, bankruptcy auctions, and much more. They have a big auction schedule coming up, so check out their website at www.rowellauctions.com, or you can call them at 800-323-8388, 800-323-8388. They've got a lot of auctions coming up. They've got, I think, 11 right now. I checked their website this morning. One of them is 250 properties for a bank. That's right, you heard it. 250 properties for a bank. I think they're in Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. But go on their website. You always want to, seek those opportunities where there's a lot of properties and a great value added for you as an investor or a buyer to check out a group of 250 properties that, again, are in Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. Let me get that website for you again. It's rowellauctions.com, or you can call them at 800-323-8388. I talked to two brokers today, people that I've known in the past, Oki Arnaud from Denver, Colorado, and Ted Thaxter, who's now in Greenwich, Connecticut. I want to say one more time to the brokers out there, we love to work with you. There's ways that you can make money with real estate auctions. Number one, register buyers for an auction. Usually commissions vary depending on the size of the property, but from 1% on a multi-million-dollar property to 3% on higher or lesser priced properties. Again, just register with the auction company, and the buyer registers, and if they are the high bidder that closes, you get a commission. Also, auction referrals. Somebody says, Doug, and I had one of those today. Not today, yesterday. I got a call from a broker that I knew, and he said, Doug, there's a property that I think would be perfect for auctions. Here's the information. Here's the value. Would like to work together with you. And so auction referrals. Let's say there's the thing that we did in Denver, Colorado, where we had hundreds of properties, and we went to Denver, Colorado, and said, hey, we need a local broker. We help them, and they help us, and we pay them. Let's go for a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Hey, Allison from Georgia, Moultrie, Georgia, Rowell Auctions. Thanks for calling in. Do we have some upcoming auctions?
Do we? We have plenty. Let's see here. February 7th, from the 7th through the 14th, we have a pallet shop.
Okay.
Which is equipment.
Okay.
That's going to be online. February 18th, we've got a cattle farm, the real estate, equipment, and the livestock. That will be on site here in Moultrie.
Okay.
March 1st, we have this beautiful home in Inglewood, Florida. That will be online. Also, on March 1st, we have a car wash in Vidalia, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then March 6th, we have about 250 assets spread all over North Georgia, South Georgia, North Florida, South Florida, and Alabama.
Wow. And is that for a bank?
Yes, and that will be online also at our website.
That's great. That's great. I was actually just talking about that to our listeners, that what an opportunity. 250 properties. There's got to be some bargains there. They've got to go to the website and check it out. What is our website?
It's RowellAuctions.com, and that's www.RowellAuctions.com.
Is there an 800 number that people call?
Absolutely. It's 800-323-8388.
Well, you must be just, again, you're the one that keeps everything moving in the corporate offices. You get a lot of the calls. You must be extremely busy, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for Allison for calling in. And again, folks, 250 properties coming up for bank.
Yes.
Gotta go to the website. And again, what's the website, Allison?
RowellAuctions.com.
Very good. Allison, thanks so much for calling in.
Anytime, Doug.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay, nice call from Allison. She does a wonderful job. She also helps produce the radio show on YouTube. She puts all the slides together and does really a fantastic job. So kudos to her, and thank you, Allison, for calling in today. We do have, she mentioned the auction in Englewood, Florida. It is on Minnesota Key. It's just a beautiful property. I was there about 10 days ago. Very exciting. You want to go on the website to look at that, because that's going to be a great opportunity. Beautiful luxury home. Beautiful luxury home. Want to say one more time, very, very pleased that H.R. 1734 was passed by the House. Again, this is a bill to help make the government more efficient. This is a bill to really get rid of properties and sell properties to help balance the budget, to take them off of the American taxpayers' back, because we are paying for properties that are no longer being used, and in some cases haven't been used for 10 years or more, just like the post office I talked about that's costing us $6 million a year. That's just crazy. So get to your congressmen, get to your senators. The Senate has got to push this. They can tweak it. They can do whatever. The president wants to do something like this. We as taxpayers need to make sure that this type of bill or this bill is passed, because we need it. Thank you so much for listening in every Friday, and take care.